let's create a fairy tale together. This is the image we're creating. We're here on the mountain. I've got my flowy pink skirt. This is a dancing skirt, which makes it really flowy and fluttery for the image. I'll link this down below for you. And we are going to create a fairy tale together. I will tell you, it is summer. The bugs are out. They are swarming me and people are everywhere. So this was a really hard one for us to photograph. Let's see what we get out of this. While people are up on the little cliff there, we're gonna dance.
One of the best things that you can do when taking photos is to toss your skirts. Anything that has flowy fabric is going to look really nice, and if you toss your hair at the same time, it's going to look like the breeze is picking up the skirt, picking up your hair, and giving you that beautiful windblown look. Now, as you can see, I am wearing something under this dress because on this particular day, I did a bunch of photo shoots all at the same time. So back to back, I switched my top, I switched my skirts out, and underneath, I had a convertible outfit. I had a pair of shorts on, and that made it really easy for me to switch out my outfits in public because as I was doing this particular photo shoot, there was a couple and someone with an iPhone taking photos over on a boulder. And when I say boulder, I mean like a giant rock that you can go down a little staircase and up a little path and like pick your way through to get to this giant rock where you can take photos with the overlook. And it's cool unless you're a little bit afraid of heights, and then it's an issue. Meanwhile, I'm planning a fairy tale based around what I assume is going to be a princess. These beautiful pink colors represent strong, independent, but also very feminine, very flirty, very happy. We've got the beautiful lighting. And so for me, I really leaned into the girly side of this. My story that I was telling myself, or the way that I was focusing on this, was all about that beautiful, feminine, and really was to unlock that my favorite color growing up was purple and pink. I wore a lot of this color pink when I was younger, and people would make comments about it, but I love it. And for a long time, I didn't wear this color pink because people kept mentioning it to me. And now as an adult, I love wearing it. I love bringing it back, and I love holding my ground and holding my strength by bringing it into the artwork that I am creating.
Secret to this dress is that it is a dancing skirt, so it has multiple layers, meaning it's going to be very, very flowy and catches the wind really well in the content we're creating. You can see I have a romper on under this so that I can just swap out outfits, and then I've got a top that kind of goes with the skirt. So I can take that on and off as needed. I can have it lower, I can have it higher, whatever I need for the content I am creating.
And now it's time to head back and cull through the images to find the perfect one for this fairy tale photo.
Okay, I have just gone through all of the photos that I took in this shoot, and I think I picked the one that we are going to use for today's episode. It is this really pretty photo of me as I was turning and tossing the dress, and it just kind of wraps around my arms. I'm kind of like looking down, my hair is flowing a little bit. It's really pretty. Like on its own, it's a really pretty photo. Now we have to fairy tale it. Now the thing with this is that I have to build it out. I have to make this more fairy tale-esque. And I can't really build out the dress because I like the dress the way it is. So we're not going like big flowy dress because I picked it specifically because of the way the dress laid in this image. So then I can change kind of the surroundings. I have to remove the concrete, of course. And then I can kind of add things in as if we're peering through grass, as if we're peering through other trees. The sky is just like a white sky. It didn't catch too much of the coloring because it was a very bright day out, and the way that I had up my settings, it blew out the sky a little bit. So I can't really do too much in terms of nighttime, solely and specifically because of that tree. The tree is there and it's got all of the white pieces in between the branches and the foliage. So unless you go in and you like manually paint hundreds of hours, it would be ridiculous to remove all of those white specks and then like hope the tree still looks natural. You can't really turn it into a night setting. Potentially I could put a sun there behind it and really make it like pop and glowy, and then we could do like a sunrisey type image, which could potentially work, and then I could change some of the rest of the sky. I was also thinking I might try to make it a night sky because I kind of, the coloring like on my hair, it kind of looks like it could be moonlight. So if I put a giant, like an abnormally giant moon behind the trees, that would compensate for a lot of that white. So if I remove most of those white bits, I can still get the moon coming through it, but leave a little bit of it so it's not too terribly much work and it looks natural. So the thought process here is either to take it like very goldeny, very like sunrisey, you just peeked through something and you saw this fairy princess, maybe not fairy, but like a princess out in this landscape walking away from her responsibilities in the palace. I don't know yet. So we're either gonna go super golden, super glowy, super like dew drenched. Oh, what if, I don't know if I'm gonna do this, but I could potentially do like a close up cobweb with dew hanging off of it. That could be really pretty. Or I'm gonna try the giant moon. And the only thing is with that, that's like a really giant moon. So I'm gonna have to do other like very in-depth fairy tale elements to make that look realistic in the world we're creating. So now that I said cobweb, the spider web there, I think I'm gonna try the golden look first. So here we go. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is come in and do a little bit of retouching. So anywhere that there are imperfections or anywhere that I'm going to need to touch up, I'm gonna do that first so that I don't have to worry about it. So I am gonna start off by removing this concrete. And we've got some grass there, but it looks very cloned. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to remove some of these, but not all of them, just enough to kind of blend it in. And we're going to work on things here, so it's not going to be that obvious either. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to remove that little hair right there on my sleeve. I'm going to remove just a little bit of that in the background. Gonna double check this. We're gonna cover up my feet because it got cut off as we were taking the photos. So then I'm just going to come over and kind of remove some of this that makes it look like people live there. We're just gonna remove some of that land there, add the trees back in, and just make it look a little more storybook-like and a little less modern. Although that is kind of what we see from airplanes, so it is a little cool to see that as we go. I'm going to remove that stick behind my skirt there. And just tweaking that just a little bit. And we could even, if we didn't want to sit here and go with clone, I could go in and I could just Gaussian blur all of that. And that would all just blend right in. You can see how it's picking up some things unnecessarily there. From there, we're going to add in our lighting. So the light's going to come from over here, and we really want it to stand out in this tree and really be glowy. So I'm just going to resize this a little bit, and we might even put smaller light in different areas and just keep duplicating it to make it look really glowy. Oh, that's nice. And then I'm just going to situate it in different parts of the tree here. We can do more, we can do less. I can also resize that. So then from there, I am going to darken down this sky a little bit. So I'm just going to lasso it and pull this down. So now I want to retouch the grass and the mountains. I want to make those pop a little bit, and then we're going to work on foreground elements. So then the next thing I'm going to add is our spider web. This is the one I'm going to try out first. And because we cannot just remove color in the background, I am going to go ahead and turn this into black and white. And I'm going to clip it just to that one. And now we're just going to pull this down and really darken that so that it is black, black, black. There we go. So then I'm going to click those together, convert that to a smart object, and now I have the ability to change my blend mode to screen so you can kind of see how we have that spider web there. So now I need to resize that, and I can actually play with that a little bit, make it brighter or make it darker. I'm going to leave that there for the moment. I'm going to add some blades of grass in as if we were peeking through some kind of grassy forest, and then I'm going to attach this to some of the grass or maybe some sticks and things like that. So for now, I'm going to leave this right there where I can find it. So I've added some grass, but it is unfortunately not the best coloring to go with what we are seeing here. So we are going to need to adjust that a little bit. I'm going to pull it up where we can see it a bit better. And I'm going to grab a curves panel and clip it directly to that part of the image. And I'm going to go down to blue, and I'm going to slide it not to the blue but to the yellow side of things, because that golden morning grass does need to be very, very golden colored. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and combine that into a smart object. And now I have the ability to fit this grass where I need. And as you can see, I've started adding some other weeds as well. And I am just going to start to build up this foreground image just a little bit. Now, things in the foreground are going to be more blurry. They're not going to be in focus. So once I get this settled in here where I need it, I am going to blur that a little bit. So I really like this edging down here. I'm going to leave that there, but that kind of covers up the feet and blends it in a little bit more. So those are going to be good. I'm going to pop that into a folder, duplicate the folder, turn one of them off, turn the other one into a smart object. And then I'm going to go up to my filter, down to blur, Gaussian blur. And now you can see it's like we're looking through that grass to the other grass, which is going to be more in focus, which we like. So now we are going to go ahead and start moving these pieces around just a little bit. And we can choose to have these in front of this grass, which I actually don't like. I want them behind this grass, so I'm going to drag this down. There we go. And then we're just going to start fitting this in wherever we're going to need this. And kind of put some of that so that it goes over it, so it really builds out. Whoop. Okay, hold on. Redo. There we go. So that it really builds out the image that we are creating here. And we can duplicate these. We can add more of this in as well to kind of blend in where we're going to need it. And then once again, we're going to put that into a folder, duplicate the folder, and we duplicate that in case we don't like what we end up doing. We just need to backtrack a little bit. We're going to come into filter, and we're going to go to blur, Gaussian blur, and then we can see how that kind of ties it together. And I may not want it quite as blurred as the others, so I'm going to lessen that just a little bit. Now we're going to try to pull in some of those cobwebs. So let me go ahead and add that back in. I'm going to pull that up where I can see it a little bit better for a minute. And I am going to grab a brightness and contrast panel. And this is, again, we have to clip it to just that one image. But we're going to We can either, ooh, brighten it. There we go. We are going to brighten that up just a little bit. There we go. So now we have to move that and string it in between wherever we're going to want that. So I may even need bigger blades somewhere to kind of go between that. There, that blends it in a little bit more. I think I may need to pull that little section back just a bit. I'm going to lower my opacity and just kind of take a bit of that away. There we go. That's blending a little bit better. Now on top of this, I do want to add some flare in. So I'm just kind of lining this up with the sun a little bit. And we're going to remove that background. And it kind of starts to blend in with my spider web. So now I need to move it to a different angle. There we go. Now we start to have some sparklies there, and we can continue to play this out. And as much as I hate it, I do need to add in a spider on my spider web. I'm going to place it right around there. We're going to Gaussian blur the little guy. Oh, not that much. A little less. There we go. And we might add some brightness just to him to make him stand out just a little bit more. So now I've added butterflies, I'm going to resize them and have them follow along after me in this image. Now anything that is going to be closer to the camera source is going to be more blurred, so we're going to come in and we're going to give that a nice Gaussian blur to make it look more realistic. And I may even try a motion blur on some of them to make it look like they are in flight. So then I'm adding just a little bit of grass, again in the foreground, just to blend things in. So you can kind of see how we've got layers and depth to the photo that we are creating. So now we have to talk about some of this coloring, because right now we're very bright. We've got some very bright coloring going on, which we typically love. But it is very clean, very, very clean up in the sky. So we may even need to add a little bit of texture. Texture is important because it gives it a painterly look to the image we're creating. I'm just going to size this just a little bit differently. And usually we change the blend mode down to difference, and then we pull that way, way, way back. So you can kind of see how we've got texture in the sky, but we've got a lot of texture everywhere else. We don't want it everywhere else. We could either paint it all the way off, or I could duplicate this layer and drag this down specifically to the background layer. I'm going to add that right in there. And so now we've got some texture here that we can bump up or we can drag down. But I kind of like how we have those painterly lines there. And I don't want it everywhere else, although I do kind of like it in some of these sections. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start painting off 100% opacity black brush. And I don't want it in a lot of these areas. But you can kind of see I've got this painterly look down in the corner here. I've got this painterly look up here in this corner, which I do like. So now I need to blend that just a little bit. So I'm going to lower my opacity. And just start to kind of blend that in. So you can kind of see how we have it in certain spaces, but not all of them. I have this weird little line here. The problem is this layer here. And so I'm going to come in on that 100% opacity, and we are going to paint this off and out of the corner. So now we go back up to our top texture, and we add this back in, and now we're going to really reduce that opacity. I'm going to add that layer mask, and we're going to remove it where we've already painted it in the corners. I do not want it on my hair because it makes that look too matte. But we do kind of like it on the dress here. So now we're just turning on and off to see where we need to remove that from. We definitely need to remove it from the light because we want that all sparkly and pretty. You can kind of leave it up in the corner here so that it blends things in a little bit more. And I may want to tap it off just a little bit on some of those dewdrops. There we go. So anywhere where it's too dark now, we may need to come in and add a little bit of light. So we can see that it is hindering this area right here. So we're just going to paint all of that off right there. I'm going to take it off of my butterflies just a little bit. There we go. We're going to turn it back on and off. And it really is just matting certain areas that I don't want matted. So I'm just going to come in, take a little bit more of that off, take a little bit off there. Anywhere that I just want brightened a little bit, I'm just going to tap that off. And now I may just add a little bit of light in there. We're going to soften out this line. And then we just need to look at where we want little touches of light.
So let's take a look. I was not anticipating butterflies when I created this image. In fact, the story that I was telling originally when I was creating the photo was of a girl up on a mountain, maybe searching for something, looking for something that she has lost, or trying to get to something that she is supposed to have. And I loved the flowy hair. I loved the flowy dress. And the lighting was so fun for me to play with, but I did not expect butterflies. Now, butterflies are actually really important to me. Butterflies were something that I've had as a part of my life for a very long time, monarchs specifically, because when I was growing up, we were connected to a monarch breeder, a person who was helping to grow the population of monarchs, and he would raise the caterpillars, get them into the chrysalis, and then give them to people to take care of and to hatch and to release.
However, on occasion, some of these monarchs, when they would come out of the chrysalis, would fall before their wings were dry, and their wings would crumple up and break, and they would then not be able to fly. And out in the wild, those butterflies would have died pretty immediately. But because of human intervention, we had the ability to take care of these butterflies. Now, we named them all Crinkle. It was kind of just like a rite of passage. All of these broken little butterflies were named Crinkle. And they would sometimes live a shorter period of time. Sometimes they would live a pretty long time. And we would have to keep them in their crates. So it was like a plastic bin, like a tote bin type thing. I'm not describing it right. It has the holes in it. We used to have them when we were little. They used to use them in schools. And we put netting inside of it and a netting top, and they would live on the inside. And then every single day we would take them out for exercise and to eat. They would climb along our hands. They would actually play with my puppy. They were very, very involved and very active for those that were able to do so. We would have to take a toothpick and uncurl their tongues and put it into the sugar water so that they could eat, because they were unable to do it themselves. And we took care of them from the time we adopted them until the time that they died. And year after year, we would have both butterflies that we were able to release. And then when the breeder had ones that fell, because there's a decent number of them, he would give them to families like us. And there was a number of us that would take in those Crinkle butterflies, and we would keep them until they passed away, and we would just give them the best life that we could. We'd take them out to play. We'd let them they couldn't really fly around, but they could flap their wings and kind of move around depending on how bad the damage was. And we made sure they were fed and taken care of and given, some exercise, kind of like a puppy, but not really. And so for a very long period of time, we were very connected to the monarch space and to taking care of the preservation of this, very important and yet very affected breed of butterflies. And so being able to kind of put this in here, this tells an entirely different story for me. And I absolutely love what we've created here. We've got this character, this person in the story who is being followed by all of these butterflies. And we get to see this story of them following her, but also maybe protecting her a little bit as she's going forward and leading them forward. They're also there to support her. And it was this beautiful story that is so connected to my childhood and so connected to the things that I've done in the past. And they've got all the bright colors. It's got the beautiful lighting. We've got a spider here. We've got the cobweb and all of the beautiful things that we created within this storyline as we were building out this tale. And I just love it so much. And so now we need to think of a title for this one. We're going to need to think up that storyline a little bit more. And we get to display this one. And I love this. This is magic. As a photographer, as a composite photographer, this is absolute magic for me with the bright colors printed on a metallic finish. That is just going to glow. It is going to be incredible. If this is speaking to you right now, if this is your story, your artwork, you need this on your walls somewhere, I actually sell exclusive prints of this. So if you want to be the one and only person that gets to own the copy of this, the actual print of this, I'm going to have information in the description. If you need this on your walls, I might need this on my walls, man. I might need to print this for myself. But all of that information for this and for all of the artwork pieces in this series, we are going to have them available, one of them available for you. So whoever gets it first gets it, because it is an exclusive signed art piece for you. And you can display this in your house or your office or wherever you would potentially be wanting this. But I would love to hear from all of you. Get into my comments down below and tell me what you think her story is. What do you think is happening here? Why are the butterflies following her? Are they protecting her? Are they warning her? Are they trying to pull her back? What is this story for you? For me, she is protecting them as much as they are protecting her, and they are moving forward together to be an absolute force to be reckoned with in this life. And we're going into something really big, something really important. And as a force together, they are moving forward. They are working in tandem in one. And this is unlike what anyone is expecting when they come walking through. So I love this one. This is going to be really fun. I am going to think of a title of this one, and I will have that down in the description below. So if you would like to see what I have titled this, you got to get into the video description. And then I will see you in the comments as we continue for this. You can also get into my comments section and let me know what type of story should I create next? What do you want to see? Do you want something dark? Do you want the moon and the stars and the galaxy and danger? Do you want fiery and mystery? Do you want something bright and cheerful? Do you want a very strong story or a very soft story? Do you want something that's very feminine or something that's very powerful? Do you want something that is going to be darker colors or those lighter, brighter colors? Do you want something foggy or mysterious or smoky or embers? What do you want? What would you like to see in the upcoming episodes? I am several episodes ahead of you guys, so if you have suggestions, you may just see these in about a month or two. Some of these things starting to pop up. You can also recommend locations. I was up on the mountains for this, but you can talk about like big rock formations and trees and paths and in the forest or near a pond or up on a snowy mountain. Tell me what you want to see more of, and we will start creating our creative fairy tale series for you, because really, this is about storytelling. It's really about telling the stories that you want to see, and it's really about embodying the characters that you want represented in artwork. So let me know what type of fairy tale we should create next, and I'll see you in the upcoming episodes.